Hello guys, and welcome back to the Rising Guide. Now I know it's been a while since my last video, and that is because I was having some I had to resolve. Now I received a lot of comments from you guys saying I should be more consistent and a lot of video requests as well. So I'm going to try to make more videos as for now. So please subscribe to the channel because that really helps me, like it gives me the motivation to keep creating this video. So for this video we're going to actually be doing one of a request from you guys, which is creating a user and logging in with Firebase on your React Native application. So it's going to be a two-part series where in this video I'm going to show you how to create an account and log in with Firebase email password, and in the next video or in the next videos I'm going to create tutorials on how to use Google sign-in and maybe other authentication methods from the Firebase provider. So please subscribe to the channel and let's get started. Alright, to get started with Firebase, all you need to do is type in Firebase console on your Google or your any search engine, and then you click on the first link, which is console.firebase.google.com. That is going to open the Firebase console website. Once it is finished creating, you're going to click on the continue, and this is going to build the Firebase project for you and load the project. Once you're here, the first thing you need to do is you need to create an app. So for this video, since we're using email password, we're going to create an account, create a web-based app. So here I'm just going to call it just call it email password auth. Right, so Firebase has generated the configurations for our application, as well as giving us a script to use to install the Firebase into our application. I'm just going to copy this command, this configuration, and back into our project. I'm just going to open the terminal. Yeah, we're going to install a couple of dependencies, but first let us save that configuration. So in here we're going to create a folder. So I'll right click here and I'll say create a new file. We'll call it, inside the components directory we'll create an API folder, and in there we'll create the Firebase.js file. I'm just going to paste in this command which we copied from the Firebase, and here I'm just going to add, I'll say from Firebase auth. We're going to say import get auth, and down here after the app we'll just set a variable called auth, and we'll set it to get auth, that function, and we'll export this value. So say export. First we'll export the app, and now we'll export the auth. That's everything we need to do for this Firebase component for now. So I'm just going to close this. To secure your application, it's also advisable to remove these API keys and place them in an environment variable so that other developers or others who do not have permissions will not access it. So I'm not going to do that here, but that's how you do it. Now in our app.js file, I did a basic setup for the navigation. So as you can see, we have a basic stack navigation where inside here we'll check if there is a user. We're going to render the app stack, else we're going to render the auth stack. So this is like a best practice for separating a user group between authentication and non-authenticated users, so it prevents the user from hitting that back button and going to, maybe a logged in user can go back to not being logged in if you use a normal stack navigation. So I have this user state which is set to false. We are going to create this state later on, like the functionality for setting the application. So here we have our auth stack. In here, we're just going to say that we're just going to create a stack navigation, which I've defined already up. So if you don't know how to create navigation, I'm going to link a video on how to create navigation up in the description. So do check it out if you don't know how to do it. I'm going to say stack navigator, and in here you need to put at least one screen. So I'm going to set the login screen. So say stack dot screen, and for this screen I'm just going to give the name as the login, and I'll set the component to be the login component, which I have not created yet. Let's change this to capital L. So come here to this component and I'll create a file inside the screens. I'll create a login.js file. I'm just going to generate some boilerplate for this. I'm back into the app component. I'm just going to import it. So it is imported already, as you can see here. So this is mainly everything we're going to do. I'm going to come back to this file later to create the functionality to check if there's a user. So inside this login screen, we need to create a couple of input fields and buttons. So before that, I'm just going to create a container to wrap the application. So say styles.container, and down here we'll say for container, give it a flex of 1, justify content, we'll set it to center, and align items, we'll set it to center as well. We'll set the background color to be white. Now as for installation, we're going to come down to our terminal, and using the command that was given to us, we're going to run the command yarn add firebase. Now I already have it installed, so if you check my package.json, I already have the firebase package installed. So here, so I'm using firebase with 10.8. I'm just going to close this for now, and I'll exit the browser. So if you come back here to our UI and we run the server one more time, so clear this, and I'm going to run the server. Alright, so this is how our application looks for now. So I'm going to come back here and I'll minimize this terminal window. I'll close this, and back into Firebase. Well, I believe we're done setting this. So I'm just going to click on continue, and that is going to create our application. Now we're going to come into authentication, because we want to set up authentication for our application. So in here we'll click on get started. And here we need to provide the authentication methods that you want for our application. So I'm just going to click on select the first one. So we want to create an account with email, so we'll select that one. You can add new providers as you need. So I'm just going to also add in this Google provider, because in the next video I'll be showing you how to use Google to create an account here, sorry, as a sign-in method. So I just want to scroll down to here. It says project not configured. Select an email and then you save. Alright, now so to test our application, I'm just going to come in and I'll create a demo user. So I'll say add a user, and I'll provide in one of my emails. So say, and I'll set the password to 123456. Now the password needs to be at least 6 digits long, so you can set it to whatever you want. So I'm going to use this user to test the login functionality later. So we'll come back to our project, And here I'm going to create a couple of text input fields to be able to enter the username and the password. Before that, let's create some state. So say use state. So we're going to import the use state hook. I'll say use state snippet. First to say email. Set that to an empty string, and also going to create a state for the password. So say use state. Use state snippet, and for password. And in here we need to create a couple of input fields. So let me minimize this sidebar by pressing Ctrl B, and I should say text input. Also set the value to be the email field, and on change text we'll update the value. So we'll set email to be the value that is being passed in, and we'll set the placeholder text as well to email. And it's going to create our email field. We're going to set a style property to this to style the email field. So set the style to styles.input. We're going to do a similar thing for the password field. So change this value to password and set password to that. And in here we're going to set the secure text entry to true. This is because we don't want the user to be able to view their password when they are typing it in. Alright, so also the placeholder text. So set the placeholder to password. Now to start this component, I'm just going to come down here and say for input, I'll give it a width of 80%, 90%. Instead, I'll give it a border radius, set it to 4. I'll give it a border width to styles, not style sheet hairline, to make it 1 hairline thick, and a border color, just set it to a random value of this value. I'll save that, and we should have that loading. So I'll set the height property to 8, just set it to 50, and a border bottom to separate margin bottom to separate the items. So I'll just set it to 30 and see how. Alright, so that looks good. Finally, we're just going to set a padding left to give it some space. So set the padding left to say 10. Alright, so that will work for now. Down here, I'm just going to create some buttons to manage the application, the pressing of the application. So I'll create a touchable opacity, and on press I need to create a function. This one we'll call it handle login. We'll set the style to be btn, and in here we're just going to have a text that says, first we'll style it to say styles.text, and we'll say login. Let's create this function up here. We'll say const the handle login, set it to an arrow function. All these functions are going to be async, so I'm just going to put that async method there. I'm going to do a similar thing for the sign up button. So say handle sign up. Normally in your application you need to create like different screens to manage login and sign up, but since this is not a UI course video, I'm just going to show you how the functions work, and you can design your own UI as you need. But if you need me to show you a full series on authentication with Firebase, or maybe a different web server, sorry, application server, please let me know down in the video description and I'll try to do a one to cover that. So I'll say sign up. So that those are the two buttons. Oh, I forgot to create this function that's going to crash. So come here, we'll say sign up, we'll duplicate this and we'll pass this in. That should fix that error. And inside here, we'll say for our BTN, we're going to have similar stars as the text. So it's going to have a width of 80%, 90% rather. It's going to have a border radius 30 to 4. We'll set the padding to a random value and we'll set the padding horizontal. We're going to give it more horizontal padding to make it look better. Now I'm just going to give it we'll set the background color. I'll just copy the background color from this header component here. So we'll come into our app component where I have this color here for the status bar. I'm just going to copy that and paste it in here. Finally, we're just going to give it a margin bottom to separate the components, so set it to 10. And for the text, we'll say for text, we're going to set the color to white and we'll set the font size to make it larger. Finally, we're just going to set an align items, sorry, align text or align items. It's align, let's say text align. See, okay, text align property. Okay, so for these two buttons here, in each of them we're just going to do a try catch. This is because we don't want our application to crash when there's an error. So say try catch, and here just going to warn the error. I'm just going to duplicate this functionality into our create account. Now up here, I'm going to import the create account and login functionality. So I'll say IMP from Firebase auth. I'm going to import sign in with email password. So we're going to create this one first. I'm just going to say sign in with email password. I'm going to pass in the email and the password. Now to check if we're getting the correct response, I'm just going to save the value inside this variable and I'll log it. So I'll say log the response. Now to check our console, in here I'm just going to give it a random email. So I'll say anything@anything.com, and down here I'll set the password to be some random characters and I'll click on sign up. Alright, so we're receiving this warning saying this is not a function, so we need to come up here outside our component and we'll create the auth state. So say const auth, we'll set it to get auth. Oh, so you have to import the get auth as well. So from Firebase auth, you need to import get auth. So that is going to resolve that. Let me click on the button now. Alright, so what we forgot to add to this, which was supposed to import it from here, not this. I was supposed to add this auth component, which is from get auth, and I was supposed to pass it in here. So that is going to resolve that error we had. So let's test the application again. So here I'm just going to give it nothing, and I'll click on login, and here you can see that invalid email and password. So let's test now with the email and password we created on Firebase. So I'm just going to give it my email and the password. I'm just going to set it to 126 and click login again. As you can see, this is the data being sent back from your Firebase using that Firebase ID that we provided. So this is everything. We have the email, the display name, which is not set to anything for now because we haven't set any display name. We have an ID token which you can use to make requests and log into Firebase. You also have a refresh token somewhere. You have a local ID API key. This is the refresh token here, which is set with this, and other fields such as if the email is verified and the rest. You also have an expiry duration, that is the duration the token is supposed to expire. So those are all the functionalities that signing in with email and password will give you. So let's try to do a create an account field as well. So we'll come here. I'll say for this create an account, it's going to be similar to this function. So we're just going to paste in this one. Instead of signing with email and password, you'll be create user with email and password, and it has the same properties. So you're going to log it. It's going to import it from the same Firebase package. So we're going to save that, and we should be able to create an account now and log in. So maybe if you get the response from the response of this, you can do whatever you want, such as redirect the user to a new page. Now if I come here and I try to create an account, like sign up with this same user, you're going to get an error saying the user already exists, that is the user already in use. So I'm just going to pass in a different email here. So I'm going to pass in my other Gmail account, which is the one I used to create the Firebase project. So, and in here I'll leave the password to be the same 126 and click sign up. And as you can see, it has created an account for me and it has returned the account details. Now if I try to do it again, it's going to tell me that it is already in use, which means there's already an email with it. However, I can use it now to log in because we just created that. That is everything you need to create an account with Google. So back into our app component, we're going to try to get the user and render it. One thing I forgot to mention is inside this Firebase component, we're supposed to pass in, inside this get auth method, we're supposed to pass in this app as a parameter to it. So if you're having any errors with that, that is how you resolve it. So back into our app component, we're just going to say auth it to be set auth to be get the user auth, and here we're going to create a use effect hook. Use effect. We're going to import the use effect, and here we'll say check if it's login, check user. We'll say check user. We're going to create a function here, say cons check user. This is going to be an async function as well, because it's going to make a request to try to see if there's a here. We'll say on auth state change. We're going to pass in that auth parameter, and for the user we're going to say it should log the user. Now down here we're going to say if there's a user, as if this field comes back as true, just going to perform your own functionality for this. So you say just going to set the user ID UID to be equal to user.user ID. UID. And else, if there's no user, you can do whatever you want. So if there's no user, you can just create your own functionality. So you can set a to-do here. So no user. So you can create your own functionality to handle if there is no user. For us, what we're just going to do is we're just going to set let's log that user to see what is going to show. So if I refresh the application, cap lock was on. Alright, so when you refresh the application, you may notice that it is displaying null. So let's try to log in again. I'm going to give it the email himida@gmail.com, and down here I'm going to give it the password and click on login. As you can see, the user is able to log in. Let's try to get that load this function again. So we'll say user data, and then we're just going to log in and underline here to be able to identify that this function is running. So I'm just going to say this. I want to save it. As you can see, this is the user data coming back from this API. So this is user data, and you're having this JSON response. Now you can use this to set the user state and save the data, so that this application should be able to run a different auth stack once your application starts. So you can just come here and say set user to be equal to the user, and this should be inside this if check. Now you may notice that if your application reloads or restarts, if you do restart the application or reload the application, you are going to get a null or undefined being locked as the user data. That is because you have to be able to save the state as the data coming back from the backend. So you can do this using the async storage library. I have a video on async storage and how to save user data in React Native, so I'm going to link the video as well. So do check it out if you want to learn, if you want to save these user credentials. So I'm going to go back now to our Firebase app. As you can see here, we have this one email. So if we reload the application, we're going to see the other user that we created just now. Alright, so this is the new user you created just now, and if you create another user back in the Expo Go app, the emulator, it is going to create users for you live, and you can be able to authenticate or log in with those users. So that is it for this video. In the next video, I will be showing you how to use other authentication methods such as the Google Auth method, or perhaps Facebook or Apple to sign into your application. But those videos depend on how you react to this video. So please let me know in the comments if you want me to do a video on all those other authentication methods, because implementing Google Auth in React Native is a bit complicated, and there are a lot of